I'm very honored to be the head coach of LSU. I can sum it up by saying this place is different. And having watched this place for a long time, having been on the other sidelines in this stadium, this place is different. And that's why we're here.
And a happy Wednesday morning to you, December the 3rd. Buddy Sanji back in the house here on Pelican Sports TV with our weekly show, Tigers Roar, myself and Jonathan Poche. Marty Campbell behind the cameras. As always, folks, we welcome you to another edition of Tigers Roar. And very, very exciting to come to you. As we know, the last time we did this show, everything was up in the air about Lane Kiffin. Was he going to get here? Was he going to get here on time? And how are we going to watch the fallout? Of course, whenever you're having transition with coaches that are trying to come in along with those who are on that existing staff, it's never simple. It's never easy. But you got your guy. And Lane Kiffin comes in here as probably one of the best 2 or 3 play callers in the country. In fact, Nick Saban said, look, he's as good as it gets in in-game coaching. Look, he brings a little baggage. You know that to be the case. There's always going to be baggage. Not going to be simple. You got politics. You have all the other things going on in the world of sports here in the state of Louisiana. It is signing day. LSU doing very well. They are anxiously waiting to see what happens with 2 big D linemen, Lamar Brown, a superstar D lineman. He can play offensive line as well. Did a great job playing both ways for Andy Martin and U-High. They play a big one tomorrow night as they continue on in the state championship playoffs. And then Ed Nakar's big man, Richard Anderson, 6'3" and some change, about 340. Both of those guys are key to this class, and both of those guys have a little question because they want to know who's going to be on the staff. And we'll wait to see how all of that goes down. We'll get into the signings. But Lane Kiffin is here. And before we get into JP, I want to reiterate one more time that nothing is normal, nothing is simple. Coach Kiffin came over here and signed the contract Saturday at some point. Sunday, they got him back over here. The first thing he does is meet with Lamar Brown and start recruiting. This is why I was so adamant, folks, that you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't recruit for LSU and still coach Ole Miss in the playoffs. But what they did is say, okay, let's sign Charlie Weis to a 3-year deal, $2 million a year. Yes, if you want to be a coach, be a coordinator, whether it be offensive or defensive coordinator. And you make that big money, but Charlie Weis will be the OC over here. And Lane Kiffin said, look, guys, we've taken enough from Ole Miss. Let's bring Charlie Weis back over there to be your play caller for the playoffs. In case you missed it, Ole Miss inexplicably moved up 1 spot last night after the big win over the Egg Bowl. So they go 11-1. They're now sitting at number 6. They'll host the first game of the playoffs at Oxford. But as always, still a lot of doubt about who's coming over on the defensive staff, who's coming over on the offensive staff, Frank and all of that. And, of course, we couldn't do it without all the hard work of Jonathan, Marty, and Tracy when he comes in here and helps out. So we give a December shout-out to everybody. Moving fast, and Jonathan Poche, we affectionately call him JP. How are you doing today? And thanks for getting all of this stuff set up and ready to go. And as we said, we are still in our temporary studios, but we're getting there. And we'll have that thing up and running and looking good here in the next couple of shows. But JP, happy Wednesday. And as we all know, this signing day, I got to take issue with the NCAA, JP. I looked it up yesterday. 2 years ago, the signing period was December 20, 21, and 22. Not sure why they moved it up to December 3, 4, and 5, but it really made it problematic, especially when you have all of these coaches taking their services to new places. A lot of new coaches in the SEC, but JP, it does seem like it's all going to wash out. And let's be honest, folks, in case you missed it, hadn't seen it, Lane Kiffin absolutely just killed it with the opening press conference Monday afternoon. at the South Stadium in Tiger Stadium, JP.
Yeah, Bud, man, glad to see you. Glad to be here on Tiger Shore. Happy to have you out there viewing. Of course, you can always catch us on YouTube at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcast, and we archive all the Tiger Shores right there for your viewing pleasure. So while you're at the page, go ahead and click the like, notification, and subscription button. It certainly helps us with the algorithm. Bud, man, what a crazy weekend in college football, the coaching carousel, just in the SEC. I mean, it was a wild one, wilder than one I can remember in recent history. And LSU comes away with their guy. And you got to give a shout-out to Verge Ausberry, the new athletic director for LSU, just getting his feet wet in the job. Of course, he's been with LSU for decades, but he got the main job, athletic director, and went out and got his guy. And he wasn't going to let anything stop him. Of course, you see the language in the contract that said if if Lane Kiffin was able to coach Ole Miss during the playoff run, LSU was going to pay him regardless. And great on Verge Ausberry, great on the new president, Roos. He had a fantastic press conference yesterday. Lots of life, lots of energy. Of course, you already know the offensive mind he brings to the coaching staff, but what a circus this past weekend, the past couple of days was in Oxford, Mississippi. Of course, all over social media, you saw the clips of everybody going to the airport to cuss out Lane Kiffin, his whole family, and the offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr., when he got onto the plane. Lots of moving parts, obviously. Not sure who's going to stay, who's going to go. They bring their general manager from Ole Miss over to LSU, so there is going to be some turnover with the new regime. Excited about Lane Kiffin at LSU. Of course, John Sumrall also leaves Tulane to take the Florida job. Auburn has a new head coach. Arkansas has a new head coach. And Southern University also names their new head coach. NFL and college football Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk will now take over from interim head coach Fred McNair. And look, it's an exciting time. Obviously, LSU doesn't get the win over Oklahoma this past weekend, but all of that's kind of in the rearview mirror now that you got your guy. A lot to be excited about these days if you're an LSU football fan, Bud, man.
Who would have thought it before the season? 7-5 is what the Tigers end up finishing, folks. And, of course, JP, let's roll the lowlights or the highlights or whatever you want to call them here on this chilly Wednesday afternoon. 3 weeks away from Christmas Eve. All you kids behave. Santa Claus is watching, and here we go. Once again, a tipped INT with Harold Perkins. I thought Perk was going to get in, but Mateer made a good job of stopping him before he got in, JP.
Yeah, I really thought Harold Perkins had a chance to score that, but, man, you'll see the replay right here. Great job by Patrick Payton getting his big paw up, deflecting that ball, and Harold Perkins just in the right place at the right time.
No doubt about it. Of course, LSU did pick off John Mateer 3 times, and here you go. Once again, Patrick Payton, number 6. Got to be honest, JP, I thought he'd have 6 or 7 sacks this year. It just didn't pan out for all the number of sacks, but they did a great job. Once again, here's Harold Perkins, and that cost them 4 points. Didn't they get a field goal here?
Yes, sir.
So it cost them 4 points not getting in the end zone.
Yep, and here's LSU right down the goal line. Actually, they do score a touchdown, Bud, man. Oh, they get intercepted. That's what happened. Rolling out to the right, bad decision, throwing on the run, gets intercepted. LSU comes up with no points in the first drive.
Michael Van Buren struggled at times. He did some good things, but has been tough. And here we go, a nice catch over the middle as they start to get back into Tiger territory.
Yeah, John Mateer has had an up-and-down season. Obviously, he has lots of talent, but LSU's defense does hold strong, hold Oklahoma to a field goal, and they take the early lead 3-0.
No doubt about it. Of course, back to the Van Buren. That's a killer when you throw one over here. Here we go, a little double pass. It's wide open and a good little trick play. I got to say that Alex Atkins and the staff at least tried some trick plays since they've been in as the play caller. And once again, as we know, Damian Ramos ties this thing up with a short field goal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Bud, man. Alex Atkins has gone deep into the bag of tricks. Here's another interception right here. A.J. Halsey, who's had a great year for the Tigers at the transfer portal. He comes up with a big one, gets inside the 35. LSU set up in great field position right here on
A.J.
offense.
Halsey, Mansour Delane are both up for awards. They've been 2 guys that have been worth every penny. And once again, I don't know what Mateer's doing, but he's looking in and locked in. And here's Halsey with the nice pick. He's been worth every penny, and I think he'll be a great NFL player, JP. He brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, completely agree, but, man, great tackler, but also good in coverage. You saw him undercut that route right there. Here's a nice run right here on 3rd and 1 by MVB, getting inside the 5-yard line. Almost scores it, didn't quite get there, down to the 2-yard line.
Yeah, Michael Van Buren certainly was running it better than he was throwing it at the end. And here's a good little pass Play action, and boom, gets in there. It wasn't easy, but Xavier Thomas once again gets his 4th touchdown of the year.
Yes, sir. Michael Van Buren, 14 for 25, did have the interception. Only 96 yards, Bud, man. Did have 113 through the air, but that's including Xavier Thomas's pass. Only 85 yards on the ground, though. Offense struggling to game up and down the field.
Of course, as you know, LSU played relatively well all year long on defense, and once again, but the Tigers did give up a big one right here as, look, they had a couple of holes in the secondary, but for the most part, JP, you got to be happy with the way they played defense against OU.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a 7-point lead, middle of the third quarter here. Another interception by the young freshman, DJ Pickett. Did a great job in coverage, using his big frame to get in front of the receiver to catch that ball.
Pickett wants to get to 200 for next year. Here you go, a little bubble, and the next thing you know, there's a gap, and they're going to tie it up and make it 10-10. JP, I looked at it a couple times. Somebody just didn't follow, but it was way too easy. Going back to Pickett's INT, that is his 3rd, and he's been fantastic. Finally, you hit Trey'Dez Green.
Yeah, Big 14 getting in on the fun. Moving to the 4th quarter, 10-10 right now in the ball game. Nice run right here by Jawan Johnson getting the ball down. LSU would sputter on offense. But here's another nice play action. It tried to trick play again, reverse, almost disastrous for LSU. Xavier Thomas does fall back on it, but a big loss right there. Set up a long 4th down. LSU has to settle for a field goal.
Once again, Ramos has been very, very consistent this year. LSU will have to bring in a new place kicker because he is a senior.
Yeah, here's a little dink and dunk. Harold Perkins, not great effort in coverage right there, Bud, man, for number 7. That sets up this absolutely blown coverage. Harold Perkins involved once again, but nobody even in the frame right here for the touchdown for Oklahoma. This would be the go-ahead and game-winning score. LSU would get the ball back with 4.5 minutes left, just under 4.5 minutes, but could not score, Bud, man. They had a great return right here. Fantastic field possession. Barry and Brown did a fantastic job getting outside. 2 Oklahoma guys hit each other right here. And that's all you need for the speed demon, Barry and Brown.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We thought Barry and Brown would take one to the house with the return. It just didn't happen, but he's been relatively good. Once again, Tigers not calling the right plays and not executing on offense as they get the 13-10 deficit, and of course ends up being 17-13. I put my sunglasses on momentarily just to remind everybody when LSU loses a football game, we put the sunglasses on. But seeing that it's signing day and Lane Kiffin in here as the new coach at LSU, we are going to go without him, even though that is tough on all of your eyes. We will take a quick time out. Once again, as always, couldn't do it without all the folks over here at Pelican Sports TV. Another edition of Tigers Roar. Buddy Sanji, Jonathan Poche in the house on a chilly one. Back right after this with more tape, more Kiffin, and, of course, more updated on the recruits that are signing with LSU here on December 3rd, early signing day. Once again, live on Pelican Sports TV with Tigers Roar.
Happy Honda Days are here at Team Honda, and that means tremendous savings. Right now, make no payments for 90 days on every new Honda. Plus, get clearance pricing on select new Hondas all during Happy Honda Days, right here at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda.
When I started this practice over 35 years ago, I had one goal: to treat every patient like family. And over the years, I've watched kids grow up in this office, come back as parents, and now I'm seeing their kids in the same chair. That kind of trust, it's not something we take for granted. This isn't just where we do dentistry, it's where we make people feel at home. Frugier Family Dentistry, where you treat it like family. Call or visit FrugierFamilyDentistry.com to schedule.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
And we welcome you back once again, taping Tigers Roar on the morning of early signing period. Right now, the Tigers have 9 in the hopper. We'll get into some of those names, still waiting anxiously to see what Richard Anderson of Carr and Lamar Brown of U-High are going to do. I'll just give you a little tidbit, though. Duckworth is a quarterback that LSU feels like they're going to flip. He's been committed to South Carolina. JP, before we get into Lane Kiffin and talking about him landing in Baton Rouge and what it will mean moving forward, you've seen Richard Anderson being in the New Orleans area.
Yep.
How important is he to this class? He just looks like one of those guys, big, strong, mean, throwing people around like an empty Coke can. But as we know, there's some controversy with not knowing who your DC is going to be. They have not officially said what Blake Baker's role is going to have on this staff, or if he will get the Tulane head coaching job. And, of course, we know that Frank Wilson and his status is up in the air as we tape TV on this December 3rd morning. But that all being said, JP, you got to have some big uglies, and we know that LSU's got to have some better talent on the D-line.
Yeah, and Richard Anderson is certainly talented. And if you watch any clip from Edna Carr this whole season, it's been all over social media, very talented high school football team. This man, number 7, is in the middle of everything. He's a havoc. He's huge. He's over 300 pounds, but he's quick, bud, man. That first step is very agile. I talked to Coach Terrence Graves before he was relieved of duties at Southern. He had a coach go check out the St. Aug versus Edna Carr game, and he couldn't get over how good number 7 looked, Mr. Anderson, on the field. For how big he is, his first step is quick as a hiccup. He can get around the center, commands a double team each and every play, bud, man. LSU could absolutely use his power and speed right there in the middle.
All right, we transitioned a little bit with the naming of Lane Kiffin as the head coach. It was at 3:30. I was doing the radio show. I didn't really think I'd have time to get over there, so I was not present. But anybody and everybody who's somebody covering the beat and in the state, whether you're a money guy, a political guy, whatever, a booster. By the way, let's give props out to Wade Roos, as you said earlier. He's come in here and done a fantastic job. I've heard nothing but good things about the new LSU president. And you got to give some props and flowers to Verge Osbury because that is the direct link between the coach and the AD. Verge, of course, now locked in as the AD, and I think when he said, look, we talked, we had some discussions, and we met for about an hour. Verge is not one of these guys that are going to get in and hold you around for 3-4 hours, but he said, Coach, here are the car keys. This puppy is yours. I'm here to support you, whatever you need. But the big thing, folks, it wasn't the $13 million, and if you've not heard the contract, it's going to be in the $13 million for 7 years, which equals about $91 million. But they're also going to have some incentives, including LSU paying him bonuses on what Ole Miss accomplishes in the playoffs. But that being said, the big deal, JP, giving him a bunch of money every year for NIL, the portal, and recruiting. And we know that is where you've got to be right up there in the top 5 in the country because you don't want to have a great kid in the state of Louisiana that you can't afford to bring in here. And also his GM, Glasscock, is coming in, so Austin Thomas probably moving down on the road. But your take on Kiffin in the intro press conference, JP, what did you take notice of?
First impressions, bud, man, I thought he was a little nervous. Obviously, he had been through a lot over the weekend. His family as well. And you have to move your family, your assistant's family. His brother's has a job on the team, so his whole family. It's a lot on human beings. It's not just robots out there doing the job. So I thought Lane Kiffin handled it as best as he could. Like he said in the intro, LSU's just different. I think he did enjoy his time in Oxford, learned a lot in that 6 years, accomplished a lot. They had Ole Miss, one of the top 10, top 15 programs in the last 6 years in the country. And that's credit to Lane Kiffin. Innovative offensively, did what he had to do on defense to bring in guys from the portal, also signed great guys out of high school. And really, he was the innovator of how do you attack this transfer portal. They call him the transfer portal king. He's able to bring a lot of talent into Ole Miss. They were right there competing for playoff spots the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm excited, bud, man. You heard in the press conference, they asked Lane Kiffin, was the NIL opportunities, LSU's plan, a reason why you chose to come to Baton Rouge? And Lane Kiffin said, absolutely. Their plan was good. Their plan was better than the other ones. He said in his press conference, you'll hear it a little bit later, that he didn't know all the, the exact numbers of his contract. I don't know if I exactly believe that, Bud, man, but I do agree that it was not the most important part about him coming to Baton Rouge. Every school was going to offer him close to $90 million, but that $25 million in NIL guaranteed every year for the roster, plus what you're going to get with revenue sharing, has got to look mighty attractive considering all the talent in Louisiana and all the talent nationwide that sees LSU as a premium brand. Lane Kiffin will have no problem bringing the top talent down to Baton Rouge. And excited to see the offense, Bud, man. LSU fans have been waiting for an explosive offense since Jaden Daniels. And I think, there's a lot to be encouraged about. We'll see who the defensive staff is. I love Blake Blaker. I would be happy if he stayed on as a DC, but that's not my decision, obviously. We'll see how it all pans out with Austin Thomas. But Glasscock, what a name for football in Baton Rouge for a general manager for LSU Tigers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, here we go, folks. Going to give you a couple of different segments with Lane Kiffin. This is the first thing that we kind of skipped all the intros. Everybody saw all that. So here's our first little batch of Lane Kiffin with the interviews. Once again, packed house. And here's Lane Kiffin. As JP said, a little nervous at first, but I kind of like these long, rambling answers, kind of like what I do sometimes inexplicably. That all being said, here's Lane Kiffin once again meeting the LSU media this Monday afternoon.
First off, I want to thank my family for all their love and support throughout this process. Layla, Knox, Landry, Presley, my children, brother Chris that's here with his family. Thank you for all the support through this process, which was not an easy one. I'd also like to thank President Wade Roos, Athletic Director Burge Osbury, Board of Supervisors Chair Scott Ballard, Athletic Board Chair John Carmouche, and Julie Cromer. I also had a unique great call with Governor Landry, and I could feel his passion and energy in that call for the state of Louisiana and for LSU football. Also, the people that reached out to me through the process, from former great LSU players and very powerful LSU alumni. I'm very honored to be the head coach of LSU. I can sum it up by saying this place is different. And having watched this place for a long time, having been on the other sidelines in this stadium, this place is different, and that's why we're here. We have a lot of work to do with that, but I'm very grateful for the opportunity to lead one of the elite programs in all of sports. Leaving Ole Miss was extremely difficult decision. And in that, we tried every single thing possible to continue to coach the team through the playoffs and to continue to coach the players. In the end, that was their decision, and we totally respect that and appreciate the time and energy that we tried to figure out a plan to do the best thing at the time for those players. The last 6 years of my life have been the best 6 years of my life, and I owe that to all the players, all the assistant coaches, and the people of Oxford. It was amazing. It will forever be a major part of my story. I'm so grateful for those relationships and all of those people that I got to meet. But the opportunity at LSU, as I said before, is just different. Someone very close to me reminded me this week in this decision that LSU is the best job in football. When you take the history, tradition, passion, and the great players in the state of Louisiana, no one can argue that when you're in Tiger Stadium on Saturday night, there is nothing like it. This place is built for championships with championship expectations. We understand that. But as an elite competitor, that's exactly what you want, and that's why we're here. Over the past few weeks, and especially the last few days, trying to figure out this decision. And I really tried to channel my dad. And I thought of when I spoke at his funeral. And When I spoke, it occurred to me as I was writing that speech, I never understood why as a kid we moved so much. And I realized he had moved 17 times. But during that funeral and during that week when he passed, the amount of people that reached out to me that were either at the funeral, wrote letters, wrote notes to me, found my number, texted me, was amazing from all the different places that he went. And it became apparent to me, and I spoke on that, that happened for a reason. He went to all of those different places for a reason. He didn't stay one place. He went to all those places so he could connect with all those people, impact all those people, be impacted by all those people at the different places. And so as I thought about that, even with the best 6 years, it became apparent to me what the decision was. My journey has been unique, to say the least, but I believe everything that I've been through has prepared me for this moment at this place right now. I also believe everything happened exactly how it was supposed to happen, when it was supposed to happen. And that'll be clear someday, that all of it did. Our program here at LSU will be designed top to bottom to be the #1 destination for elite players in all of America. That's why we're here. Our immediate priority is assembling the best staff in the country and securing top talent. The mission is simple: bring the best players in the country to LSU. And it starts right here in the state of Louisiana. To win big, as you go through this decision and you look at different places and all the things involved, to win big, you need everybody pulling in the same direction. And I felt through this process that definitely the leadership here at LSU was all in line and all in place to give us that. I know that we have, with the passion of LSU family and our LSU players, that we have everything to bring championship football back to LSU. It's time for LSU to take its place back as the best program in all of college football, and that's what we're here to do. So thanks for everybody showing up. Thank you for believing in me. Let's go to work and go Tigers. Appreciate that. You didn't want to stand up, Landry. Questions? Yep.
You talked about how happy you were at Ole Miss and that's a team that's on the cusp of the college football playoff. What drew you away from that into this place, especially kind of at this moment?
Yeah, great first question. That was, as I referred to, that was excruciating and difficult. And like I said, we tried every possible thing for a long time the other night and into the morning. As you saw, the team meeting announcement get pushed back because we were trying to get that done. And I'm very grateful for the chancellor there and Keith Carter, that they listened. We presented a plan how that could be done and give the players there the best chance to win in the playoffs. And at the end of the day, that's their decision. And I respect that. And made a good point. That may make sense to everybody outside, why the best thing was to keep us all together for the playoffs, and may make sense to all the national media, why that makes sense to do that. But, like he said, he has to live there. And I totally respect that, and I respect their decision, and so appreciative for them.
Okay, so that basically was his intro stuff. We will talk a little bit about it. JP, I got to ask you a quick question, kind of an overview, but has this been surreal, or are we living here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where we've seen Brian Kelly fired, Scott Woodward fired, Joe Sloan fired, a new president, a new AD, and now a new coach, Lane Kiffin. Did you ever think it would happen? And I know you wanted Nick Saban to come in here.
Yeah.
I said, JP, I understand it. He's too old. His wife's not going to let him leave. But Nick also, along with Pete Carroll, gave Lane Kiffin, I think, the advice that needed to get him over the hump.
Yep.
And that talk about, look, your dad would say to your son, take a shot. I guarantee you Nick Saban had to tell him, My biggest regret was leaving LSU. You don't want to be looking up in the mirror in 10 years and say, I didn't take that job. I should look and see whether I want to. Invariably, yes, I'm 100% in. Is it all a dream, or does it all happen here in the last month, JP?
Yeah, it feels weird, Bud, man, to be the winners of the coaching sweepstakes with the guy that you wanted or the guy LSU wanted. And bring up Nick Saban. Lane Kiffin was asked about it in the press conference. He wouldn't share exactly what Coach Saban told him about the LSU gig, but on NFL game day, on College game day, Nick Saban pretty much went into it and said that if he was making the decision, he would look at where he was able to have the most success by recruiting the best players, and he thought Lane Kiffin would be able to recruit better players at LSU. That's what he said on game day, and I believe he truly believed that. And look, Lane Kiffin had a lot to deal with. He had a lot of different places and opportunities, and it's not just him. His family has to live there. They have to have life outside of football. They're still in school, Landry and Knox, and a lot of moving parts. But man, like I said, I think he did enjoy his time in Oxford. Just there are some little brother programs in the SEC, and unfortunately for the fans in Oxford, Ole Miss is one of them. And LSU is, like Coach Kiffin said, it's just different. The opportunities, the money, the resources, the facilities, everything is top of the line, elite. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to get to watch Lane Kiffin in a situation like LSU where resources are tops of the country. And but man, I'm excited about this recruiting cycle. Who's Lane Kiffin going to bring from Ole Miss to LSU? Who's he going to get out the transfer portal? We already know what he can do recruiting, and I think this is the only piece that LSU was truly missing: an innovative offensive play caller that's going to take this offense to the next level, into the modern age. And LSU's always been a run-first offense, and I think Lane Kiffin tries to do the same type of things in his structure. So I think it's a match made. I'm not saying heaven because heaven's perfect, but it's a match made up top. And looking forward to it, bud, man.
With those references, we've all been in purgatory having to watch this offense for the last year. It has been tough sledding. Once again, Tigers finished the season 7-5. Sunday, everybody finds out where everybody's going, including the meaningless bowl game that LSU will be going to. Frank Wilson will still be the interim coach and coach LSU in that bowl game. Quick timeout, word from some of our great sponsors, and we come back with more on a Wednesday edition of Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV.
Tremonti's has meat, Tremonti's has seafood, Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters, huge wine and liquor selection, beer and all the spices you need, Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats, ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs, 20 flavors of sausage for the grill, daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements, and that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
During the More to Move You sales event right now at Team Mazda, get 0% financing up to 63 months on a new Mazda CX-5 or Mazda CX-50. It's your choice, and you get 0% financing on your new Mazda at Team Mazda on Airline.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
As we say to you, glorious day here. Lane Kiffin, the new coach. And, of course, it's been a very fluid situation. Today is signing day. JP, real quick, anybody surprise you with weekend results? Texas A&M grabbed the throat. And, of course, Alabama, in case you missed it on the CFP last night, moved one step ahead of Notre Dame. But you had a surprising choice to me as to who you would give the Heisman Trophy to, JP.
Yeah, you asked me off camera, but man, who I would vote for, and it has to be Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. He's had a fantastic year. His highlight tape has been like no other running back in the nation this year. It will be a little bit of a travesty if Ashton Jeanty didn't win the Heisman last year and Jeremiah Love wins it this year. Of course, the numbers don't stack up to Jeanty, but it was really like a 2-year, 3-year reward for Travis Hunter. So I do believe Jeremiah Love has been the best running back, the best player on offense in the country. But who's going to win it? Is it going to be another quarterback, or do we finally have a non-quarterback take home that trophy?
Two quarterbacks that are certainly going to get the trip to New York. Your Indiana quarterback, obviously your Ohio State quarterback, Julian Sayin, and I'm hoping Diego Pavia. And I will say right now, the little guy has surprised me. We knew he was a baller. We knew he was good. But statistically, what he's done the last 4 or 5 weeks, I think he deserves the Heisman because, JP, he's done it against much better competition in the SEC than Love and Notre Dame. But I do agree, Love is one heck of a player.
Yeah, Bud, man. Diego Pavia, he burst on the scene last year. Vanderbilt was a feel-good story. Oh, look at Vanderbilt. They're competing. They beat Alabama. But this year, take nobody by surprise. Diego Pavia, that offense was for real. And Vanderbilt played outstanding defense, kept their ball control offense going most of the game. So, yeah, Diego Pavia, absolutely, I agree. He deserves a trip to New York to see if he's going to get the Heisman. But in my opinion, Jeremiah Love, just too dynamic as a runner, as a catcher out the backfield, breaks tackles, got breakaway speed, dynamic player. But I completely agree. I think Diego Pavia would be my number 2.
All right, here we go. Another segment with Lane Kiffin now answering questions from the media out at LSU this past Monday afternoon. Here's Coach Kiffin.
Verge talked about your resume, I guess. Just why do you feel like you've been successful over the last handful of years in this ever-evolving college football landscape?
Yeah, I think we've been very successful because we've had great players. We've been very successful because we've hired great assistants that fit together. I think that college football has changed a lot over the years. And I think that a thing that we do extremely well is, we don't just think outside the box. We create a new box. The way that we do things is not traditional, and just because in the book of coaching this is how we do it, or it was done that way before. We're always looking for new ideas, trying to figure things out, and that started years ago with the innovative offense and changing the style of offense that we played over the years. Having a unique offense that I don't feel like is anywhere else in America by the system that we have and how it's run. And then with that, from high school then into portal recruiting and embracing that, and embracing the portal and figuring out a way to put the best collection of players together where we were at. And, I think the record shows we did a really good job of that.
Lane, Lane down here in front. Corey Diaz with the Daily Advertiser. I'm wondering if there are things that you can share with your conversations with your mentors and whomever else you sought out to make this decision. What were some of the things that they shared with you that sort of helped sway you one way or the other?
Yeah, I think that, it was a really difficult decision. And when you're in those difficult decisions and you're torn, very torn, back and forth, and there's multiple options, there were really, 4 different places, that we had to think about in this. And I just talked to them, and then it really was apparent I felt like everybody that I talked to outside of the state that I was in all basically said the same thing, okay? They all said, man, you are going to regret it if you don't take the shot and you don't go to LSU. It's the best job in America, it's the best resources, and to win it. And it's obviously been done here before by a number of people. And, Pete Carroll, really, he told me, that he always told my dad that he'd look out for me. And so when we were talking, he really channeled him up, from knowing him for so long, and he said this is exactly what he would do. He would tell you, boy, go get it, go for it. And, Coach Saban kind of coached at another place in this conference, so I can't really say exactly what he said, but I'll say I think the world of Coach Saban, and I respect him, and so there's a reason I'm here.
On your left, Coach. Shea Dixon with On 3. Obviously, you're known as one of the top offensive minds in football, and I think for a long time people have tied that to the Briles offense. Over the years, what have you changed, adapted, that you would consider now the identity of what your offense is?
Yeah, I think that, we have the most unique offense in the country, and because of learning from so many people along the way, we hired Art's son Kendall at FAU and then learned a ton from the Briles family about offense and that whole system. And then really combined that over what we had done over the years at USC, at different places, at Alabama, and then said, okay, what if we combine these two and take this up-tempo spread system, but then really still do it with problem plays, problem formations that, remember, I really grew up really under 3 people. My dad, for my whole life, Monty Kiffin, then Pete Carroll, then Nick Saban. So really, I basically spent the majority of my life with those 3 defensive minds. Over time, always listening to them, what gave them problems, as 3 of the best defensive minds to ever coach this game. I mean, how blessed am I that I got to be around those 3 people? And then think about, okay, combine all that they said and put this thing together. And so it's been a great offensive run because of that. And, we're not going to get up here and talk about individual numbers and stuff like that, but if you research them, I would say, over the last, since we left Alabama, so that's 9 years, okay, if you take points yardage, that's the #1 offense combined in all of college football.
Hey, Coach. Jacques Doucet, WAP-TV here in Baton Rouge. You mentioned it a little bit. What are your memories of coming here as an opponent, playing in Tiger Stadium, and how do you feel now to have that arena in your corner as the head coach?
Yeah, it feels good to be on that sideline. Been here a number of times. Now that you say it, I think about it. I've been down there in what you guys have watched for a long time, that I would say that you would probably say 2 of the most intense times and feelings, and those were 2 overtimes, one at Alabama here, and then one at Ole Miss here in the overtime 2 years ago. And, God, man, that feeling on the other sideline, all the way from the warm-ups of those night games, man, it is not. I coached a lot of places, okay, and a lot of road games, NFL, college. There is nothing like the feeling when you're on the other sideline and the intensity that you feel. It's like a weight that you feel. I've talked to head coaches who have been here before, obviously. Okay, and they talk about like feeling on the other sideline, like how they feel lifted up by the crowd in the intensity. Well, when you're on the other sideline, you feel it the other way, and especially as you get to crunch time and overtime at night. So I've felt that, and I always thought to myself, man, what if we had that advantage on our side? So if we combine what we do, the way that we coach players, the systems that we run, and now we have that intensity on our side for the opponent to deal with, again, that's how it painted all together to say, and this is where you're supposed to be.
And when you say this is where you're supposed to be, we just come up with one word: destiny. He was destined to be here. And JP, obviously you and I love the offensive side of the thing. The question I will have with Lane Kiffin when we finally get a chance to ask him questions moving on in the future with other press conferences, what did you take from those 3 heavyweights that you talked about? Your dad, Monty Kiffin, who was fantastic all those years as a defensive coordinator, Of course, Pete Carroll, another great defensive coach, and Nick Saban. From a defensive standpoint, I'm just wondering why Lane has never been stout on defense, having those kind of guys influence him all through these years.
Yeah, that's a
JP.
great question, Bud, man. And obviously Lane has learned a lot from those three you just mentioned and what gave them problems and what they can kind of work on the opposite side of the ball and try to help each other, navigate a good game plan. And it's just – you can't put a price on that experience. I mean, Pete Carroll, obviously, Super Bowl winning coach, was on the dynasty for USC. Nick Saban, the best college football coach to ever do it. Monte Kiffin, longtime NFL legend, orchestrated many Super Bowl winning defenses. So, yeah, that is invaluable experience. It's stuff that you can't learn in school or just learning by being on the staff. This guy has spent his life around football. And I'll admit, 7 years ago, I was not a big Lane Kiffin fan. 2007 is when he took that job with the Oakland Raiders. I was a senior in high school. He was the youngest coach at the time for the NFL at 31.
Yeah.
It's been a long journey since then. He's had multiple unceremonious exits from his stops where he's worked. I mean, we all know about the story at Tennessee and USC firing him on the tarmac and the run-in with Nick Saban for the national championship. But this seems to be a more mature Lane Kiffin, a guy who talks about, his family and what they thought of the opportunity and how they would live in Baton Rouge or wherever he chose. And it just shows a guy that has learned from his mistakes, in my opinion. Look, sometimes the wisest man in the room is the guy who's made the most mistakes. LSU obviously made their own mistakes, bringing in Brian Kelly. Horrible fit, had to fire him $53 million later. Now you get your guy. There's no excuse not to be the elite top program. And Lane Kiffin kind of talked about in his presser, between the governor, the president, the athletic director, and now the head football coach, everyone in the state of Louisiana knows how important it is for LSU to be a winning program, and that is the goal, and that's going to be the only goal for this coaching staff and this program here moving forward.
We'll continue to talk about the maturation for Lane Kiffin and all those things moving forward. Oh, by the way, can you imagine, Tiger fans, what that stadium is going to be like when they host Clemson September 5th? In 2026, that place is going to be crazy on that opening game for Lane Kiffin in Tiger Stadium. Oh, by the way, JP and I talked off the air, got to go back to Ole Miss because of the quirk of the schedule with 9 conference games now, but you'll host A&M a second consecutive year. Of course, A&M grabbing the throat this past weekend, but they still are in the playoffs. Much more, and we'll also announce some of the signees. Let you hear from Marshall Faulk, the new Southern coach, when we come back on a very busy Wednesday, December 3rd, right here, Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV. Back right after this.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats, the flavor says it all.
The time to score huge Tundra savings is right now at Team Toyota. During the Game Day sales event, get 0% financing for 72 months on a new 25 Tundra. That's right, 0% for 72 months on your new Tundra during the Game Day sales event at Team Toyota.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golfing Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Okay, folks, not only did the Tigers have a big day on Monday Southern also introduced a new coach. We're going to let you hear from Marshall Faulk at the end of the show. I'll give you the latest on the recruits that LSU has in here. JP, Curley wanted him to play DB. He had a chance to go play running back at San Diego State, Hall of Famer in the NFL. Your take on the new Southern head coach, Marshall Faulk?
I'm a big fan of the hire, Bud, man. I know he doesn't have a lot of coaching experience, only the 1 year under coach primetime Deion Sanders at Colorado, but this is a big name. A guy from New Orleans, from the Ninth Ward, lots of ties to New Orleans, been around the game his whole life, in the NFL and the College Football Hall of Fame, a guy that's very eager to show he can do it on this level as a head coach. He's going to bring a lot of resources from the state to the school. I'm excited to see it. I'm glad Southern didn't just recycle another name out the SWAC. That's unfortunately the kind of the pattern that we saw the last few years from out of the SWAC. So I like to hire Marshall Faulk. Looking forward to getting to work with him next year for the Jaguar Football Coaches Show.
All right, we'll give you a little bit of what that press conference looked like, and then when we come back to wrap it up, I'll go through some of the early signees. LSU sitting at 8 or 9. They are expecting to have 16, 17 today. Still up in the air on who's going to be the DC, what's Franco going to be, all that stuff. We'll have to take a couple days to pan out. Here's Marshall Faulk meeting the media out at Southern on Monday.
In saying that and going home, what I'm going to do is just be authentic and honest with you guys about what this means to me, what we plan to do, and what I'm looking forward to. So I'll start with what this means to me. Listen, for me to have my first head coaching job in this state that gave me everything. I provided everything for me as I sent that message to Aeneas. It means the world to me to be here. I could not have it be any other way and be any other place than here doing what we're about to do, because I don't know if you guys, these colors, and it might be a different rendition, these colors, they've been good to me. I feel comfortable with these colors wearing them. I feel like something great is upon us. So as I also understand, to whom much is given, much is expected. And as they were talking about what they expect, there's no fear in me. Winners win. That's it. Winners win. And if you're a winner, then you win. You go out and do what you do. And at every level, somehow, some way, I found a way to find the win. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we are going to do. We are going to deliver a team that plays with heart, that plays with passion, and that goes out there and represent this community the way that you want to be represented. The players that take the field, they're going to step on that field as young men. As boys. They're going to leave here as young men. And what we plan to do is make sure that they excel off the field as well as on the field. Because a lot of times the on the field purpose, it happens, but then when they get off the field, it doesn't. We're going to make sure that they have the tools to succeed in life as well as in football.
All right, folks, I don't know if it's ever happened before where Southern and LSU named their coach on the same day. I think that's probably unique. Real quick, wrapping it up here, I'm going to go through the early signees for LSU. Bryson Martinez was the first one to get on the board. He looked at Texas, tried to get a better deal over there, and decided to stay with the Tigers. 6'6", about 280 from East Ascension, a big ugly, an offensive lineman. Jabari Mack, love this kid, wide receiver. He has been signed, sealed, and delivered, made it official this morning for LSU. LSU flips Corey Barber, a big-time receiver, was committed to Ole Miss. He can fly, 6'1", about 175. He committed to Ole Miss. Now he is an LSU Tiger. Braden Allen, another kid, was committed to Louisiana Tech and then to Oklahoma. Lafayette Christian wide receiver. He flips and is now an LSU Tiger. Desrazian Ellis, a cornerback, is an excellent football player. He comes in at the fourth signee. Aiden Hall, you're going to love this kid. Out of the New Orleans area, a safety. Once again, nose for the football. Isaiah Washington, another safety from the state of Louisiana. Now we're getting into J.C. Anderson, brought a tight end. He was committed to Ole Miss. And J.C. Anderson, 6'6.5", about 240. You know Tigers need depth at tight end. Then you talk about other tidbits. Ryan Moret is an offensive lineman from Miami. He was committed to Ole Miss, now is a Tiger. There are strong rumors that Landon Duckworth might flip to LSU from South Carolina. He is a quarterback. And, of course, the big news, everybody waiting for Richard Anderson to see what he is going to do. And Mike, I just pulled up TigerBait.com. Mike said that he's hearing good things about Richard Anderson possibly signing him and Lamar Brown, in my opinion, JP, keys for this staff because you need big uglies and D linemen in this class.
Yeah, and what do you say for the players in Louisiana? Those are the top two of the guys, two of the top guys, I should say. Richard Anderson, very talented, but Lamar Brown, excellent young player in his own right. LSU could use the help on defensive line, but both of these guys can help you with recruiting other Louisiana players. Got to get them in the building. Both have big personalities, big guys, and have big shoes to fill.
All right, boom, we just got it, folks. Just came in on live TV. Richard Anderson is a Tiger, and that is big news. He's one of the most impactful D linemen. We feel like Lamar Brown is still going to be a Tiger, but he wants to see some things go down the road. You don't know who your defensive coaches are. Rumors that Coach O could come in as the D-line. Rumors that Corey Raymond may stay at corner and coach in the secondary at DBU. A very fluid situation. We appreciate all of you tuning in. Appreciate the great work that Jonathan Poche, JP, and Marty Campbell do for us over here. Don't forget Chris Powers tapes his great show coming up here, and all of these will be replayed tonight on Pelican Sports TV, Channel 20 here on Cox Cable. Enjoy your afternoon. See you next week, everybody, for more Tigers Roar.